The following podcast contains a brief discussion on isolation and suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling, call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988.
Being loud about the facts, being loud about the truths, continuing to speak them out because the administration is not.
But for me, this is entirely new. Like, I feel I'm still exploring the options and developing my own bigger picture of what can be done. And so I feel like I'm feeling my way through.
Yeah, I'm the voice of Audacity.
I am the voice of Audacity.
I am the voice of Audacity.
Local voices, real impact, right now. Audacity, creative action together.
Welcome to Voices of Audacity.
Thank you.
I'm Lyn Donovan. Today, my guest, I met when you showed up at one of the Friday morning gatherings at the Villager. We were having conversation groups every Friday morning. And I was interested in what you brought to the conversation and consistently after that. So let me welcome Annegien. And would you tell us how you got here? A little about your background. How did you find Audacity? What drew you to it? And then we can go from there.
All right. Well, I was born in Holland. My parents are Dutch, and all my extended family is in Holland still. My parents were the first two people in their family to leave Holland, to live somewhere else. So they're quite adventurous. My dad had always been an intellectual, and he studied to be a civil servant in Indonesia, but they declared their independence. So then he chose to be an anthropologist, and he got a job in Peru and in Ayacucho. And when I was 2, we moved to Ayacucho. Me, my older sister, and my brother was not yet born. And so we lived there till I was about 6, or maybe a little bit less. And then we moved to Illinois. And so I grew up in Illinois. My dad worked at the university there.
Yeah. And how did you come to Maine?
After high school, I spent a year in Holland, and I ended up being a baker and going to a baking school, bread baking. So I was a baker in Illinois for maybe 2 years. And my sister said, come to Boston. There's bakeries on every street corner. So I got on my bike and rode to Boston, and that's how I came east. And then I came up to Bar Harbor and ended up going to the Rockport apprentice shop back in the late 80s. And that was a wonderful experience. And from there, I got a job in Rockland, working on a boat. I felt like I needed to stay somewhere, anywhere, because I was starting to feel very rootless. And so, kind of by chance, I've ended up in Rockland.
How did you find Audacity?
Oh, wow. That does seem like a long time ago already.
Yeah.
But I'm still finding Audacity. I feel like I'm appreciating Audacity more as a larger group than I had previously. But I remember going to the Rockland Library where they were introducing Audacity and the idea of having different groups that you could make yourself. And I got excited about the street theater group. So I joined that for a while, and that was great. I really appreciate Audacity for its openness to interpretation and the idea that you can make out of it what you want. And so there's a lot to explore within Audacity and the people and the ideas. And so it's a journey.
I think that's one of its strengths is the amount of diversity, that there are no restrictions. It's open to everybody.
Yeah.
And that if you have an idea of something that could happen, you bring it up and James will say, so that's a great idea. You want to head it up?
Yeah.
And then there's a subgroup. And that's pretty much how it's grown.
There's a need for that right now for people
Very much
that
so.
need to feel like they don't want to be pawns in this takeover of our lives, our future, our past, everything. The fascist method is to divide people. Divide and conquer is get focused on your grievance against immigrants or whoever. Just make it up, whatever it is, but get people disoriented, disconnected, and you can
Distracted.
Yeah. And you can just take whatever you want. And I think that we're in a kind of existential time where we can change the whole narrative that has been happening.
We don't have political power right now. We don't have judicial power. We certainly don't have executive power in some of the states, but we don't have federal executive power. But we have big voices, and there is a majority of us. But that's not going to matter if we don't pull together.
I mean, they are trying to claim the narrative of who we are, and the only way I think that we can claim our narrative is by connecting with people.
Right.
Yeah.
And being loud about the facts, being loud about the truths, continuing to speak them out, because the administration is not.
There is the loudness, and yeah, we get together, and we had that amazing No Kings March.
Yeah.
The last one, that was the third biggest in the state, in Rockland, which is a town of 7,000.
Yeah.
That's shocking. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's all the little things that add up that matter. It's not just, it's whatever you can do, however which way you can be involved, however which way is right for who you are, is what makes the fabric. And so, when we all get together, I suppose, yes, it's loud, but it's the little things that bring us together.
It's the little things that we each individually have control over. It's the little decisions that we make or the conversations that we have that are what we can do. And when you add them all together, then they become a bigger statement.
Right. It is a matter of exploring what is going on, what's happening, and making diverse connections. I've been more interested in figuring out what's going on in the local government and meeting people that way as well. It's been really interesting. And everybody needs to be, needs to bring themselves, not just having this grand idea, we're gonna topple Trump and all that, but bring who you are, because that's what makes it real.
And what you care about. Everybody cares about
Right.
something.
Right. And
Some people get really worn down because they they care for everything, and you can't. None of us can carry
right.
that responsibility. But
Well,
each of us can pick something.
yeah, well, this is all new to me. I've never been political or even very social or even putting myself out there at all. I've been in my own community, such as it was, and I figured if I guess some people lately have describing themselves as introvert or extrovert, and my where I felt comfortable if I had like 4 or 5 good friends.
Yeah.
That's it. You know,
Yep.
I don't need to be, I don't want to be in a group per se. I'd have individual friends.
Yeah.
So,
No, I know, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'm also aware in a way that I've never been aware before of the need to connect.
Yes.
That if we make all the interactions count, whether they're when pass somebody on the street and you make eye contact over something you both saw that was funny or beautiful or frustrating or whatever, you have that moment of connection, and suddenly you're better rooted in
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, no.
So critical.
I had a really poignant experience. People know me because I walk my dog for a couple hours in the morning, and a lot of people see me from their houses sometimes, and they're like, "Oh, there you are." It's like, "Oh, who are you?"
Yeah.
More people know me than I know them, but it's really nice just to run into people and chit chat for a little while. But I had one of my favorite neighbors. His he lived just a few houses down, and he's a army vet and in his 70s or maybe low 80s, and lived in Rockland his entire life and had all sorts of really interesting stories about Rockland, like what Rockland used to be
Okay.
like. Little known fact, maybe Rockland used to have 62 brothels. Rockland was different.
Well,
Yeah,
I knew it had brothels, but I didn't know it had 62 of them.
right.
Wow.
That kind of history you
Well,
don't.
yes, it is a
you don't hear.
seagoing. Yeah, it was a port. And so there were sailors and fishermen and, people in and out right
Yeah.
there through brothels.
But so he was a wildly interesting person. But but he's also, in some respects, also private about his struggles. And when Trump was elected, he stopped talking to people, and not that long. And then, I don't know, less than a year ago, he committed suicide. And so, to me, that makes it even more poignant how, what could I have done? And, because he retracted himself from social life.
Right.
And, so people need people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and can we do to pay attention to what people are going through? And
We can listen and we can reach out from a place of kindness or grace or gratitude or compassion.
Well, yeah, we can do that. That's really easy, but sometimes they need more than that. You need to really push past and be more assertive. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Talk to me. He felt that he was being wronged, and I could see the other point of view of other people. So he isolated himself, thinking that other people were being mean to him,
Mhm.
but it wasn't. That was just. I didn't think that was true.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, I'm 65 now and been living in the States, except for a couple of years, since I was 6.
Yep.
And we've been going down that road, as far as I'm concerned, of divorcing people of their own, um, their their own belief in themselves and in who they think they are.
Do you think that coming from being born out of the country and having parents who grew up out of the country has impacted how you see things?
I think it has absolutely impacted who I am and how I see things. I see myself as having grown up in 3 countries, and they're all three different. And so I have I have a point of view about how things can be different. Growing up in Illinois, for instance, the gender divide was huge. It's like the boys and girls didn't play together. Boys did that, and girls do this. And and my parents didn't grow up with that, so I feel like I was able to not take that on so starkly as people feel like they live in it here. For 6th grade, we went to Holland. I was in school there, and all the boys and girls played together, played the same thing.
Are your parents still alive?
Not now, no. My mother died 10 years ago. My dad 7. 13 and 10. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they saw some changes here. Yeah.
What's that?
I said they saw some changes here.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's interesting because my experience in Illinois is that it was and is very racist environment, and I could see how my parents became racist. Once you're in an environment, you kind of don't see it anymore, and I could see how they became that way where they had been. But for instance, another example is where we lived in Peru, like in the Andes. You get out of the town, people are still living in age-old ways. They don't have private property. You can walk anywhere, and here we're so steeped in having our private property. It's not always like that. Everything that we see, the houses that we build, the roads that we have, the cars that we drive, that's all part of that worldview. And we live in it. We don't see it. We don't see how oppressive it is.
What do you think Audacity's role is going forward?
I feel I'm still exploring the options and developing my own bigger picture of what can be done. And so I feel like I'm feeling my way through. It's my intuition and my feelings are leading me more than that which I know.
Yeah. But that's, I think, where, where the authenticity is, where the validity of humanity is in that individual intuition.
Yeah, we have to go in a different direction than we've been.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't just use the same playbook.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, this is entirely new. Like I say, I have not been politically involved in life. So, everything always just took care of itself to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not, things are not happening like that anymore.
That might be a good place to bring this to an end. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It can just not be.
Yeah. What a concept.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for being willing to jump into this.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you or someone you know is struggling, call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988.
If you're interested in learning more about Audacity, you can find us at www.AudacityCAT.com. We can also be found at Blue Sky, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.
The Voices of Audacity podcast joins with other AudacityCAT efforts to share information, promote political action, and enable discussion among local citizens. Although we hold different views on specific issues, we agree on 7 core values. We oppose authoritarianism, bigotry, and corruption. We support inclusive democracy, equity, and freedom. And we are committed to nonviolence in all actions. Any individual opinions expressed in these conversations reflect the individuals involved and do not necessarily reflect the stance of Audacity as a group.